what's up, guys? I talk a lot about where I kind of talk and jest and joke around a little bit, how, sometimes we're a little bit of a fluff and puff nowadays, right? Not quite as hardcore, as back in the day, right? Not just back in my day, but, especially like back in my dad's day, my mom's day, my grandpa's day, right? Where they're World War II, my great-grandpa World War I, right? Grandpa World War II, and, my dad put himself through college, right? Got his scholarships through walking on, because he didn't get a scholarship offer. He had to earn it. He had to walk on at University of Montana. Got cut. Went to CBC. Made the team. Got a scholarship there, and then Portland State recruited him, right? Because they were watching his buddy, and his buddy said, "Hey, what about my friend Cliff?" So they watched Cliff. He said, "Yeah, we'll give Cliff a shot too." Done, right? So my dad played with Neil Lomax. He played with Clint Didier. Both those guys went pro, right? So Neil Lomax was the quarterback for the Cardinals. Clint Didier was tight end, I believe, for Washington Redskins. Okay, so my dad had a successful career because he had the intestinal fortitude to go and take a risk and walk on. And if he hadn't have made it, he would have had to drive truck for a living, right? Probably never would have met my mom. I might have not been a thing of Showtime, maybe, or maybe there would have been. I just looked a lot different, right? So that everything happens for a reason. And in life, this fluff and puff, PC, all this type of thing, to avoid pain, those types of life lessons, right? To get through, to fight through, and become better, by coddling people, you sometimes cripple them, right? Because they don't know how to work through the adversity, okay? If they're too traumatized, you got to get them into a counselor, you got to talk to them, you don't want them committing suicide or anything stupid like that, right? But sometimes, if you don't get so PC and cautious and coddling about things, people get tougher skin, right? They get tougher here, right, mentally. Now, I'm not saying you should bully anybody. That's bullshit, right? You shouldn't fucking make fun of people because of their weight, right? Because they're too skinny or too overweight, whatever the case may be. That's bullshit, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying just walking on eggshells, not hurting anybody's feelings. Oh my God, I think it's a bullshit, right? It gets to be too stupid, okay? Racism is stupid, right? So I'm not saying that those types of things shouldn't be into place. Sexist comments that are over the top, that are overboard, that are disrespectful and rude and sexist and just flat out, sexual verbal assault. Bullshit, right? I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm not saying that that's being PC. I'm talking about just a little shit. Oh, you can't say postman anymore. You can say post person. Come on, right? We can't call them guardians. We gotta call them sanitation specialists, right? And, that's fine, but if you slip up and say that, we don't call them that anymore. Okay, all right, I would call that, probably, if I had a lot of pride in it, I'd probably call myself a sanitation specialist, right? But it's just like when I was in the corrections officer, right? People say, "Hey, you were a guy in the penitentiary." I'd be like, "Yeah." Sometimes I say, "Well, we don't call them that anymore. We call them corrections officer." I say, "Yeah, I was." I don't get offended by that. "Oh, don't call me that," right? Come on, man. It ain't a big deal. Anyways, back to my point. Other things though. If you're PC or not, I try to be PC for the most part. Other than other things, like I'm probably gonna get flack about calling people retards, right? And that's a derogatory term. No, it's not. It's not a derogatory term. That's my terminology. That's my code for dumbasses. People that didn't leave their fucking head and their brain at home, right? People who just lack common sense. That's a retard, right? I worked with people because they said, "Oh, that's stupid." No, we threw that term out, right? We don't call people with developmental disabilities that bad word anymore, right? Because they're some of the best people on earth, right? I worked with people with developmental disabilities, sometimes for volunteer, sometimes for pay, just depends, right? And I did that from 7th grade all the way through high school, college, and then all the way till 2013. Okay, it helped with Special Olympics, all that stuff. I did never, once in my entire life, I never worked with a retard. I worked with people with developmental disabilities. I worked with people with hearts of gold. I met people who inspired me when it's supposed to be the other way around. I was inspired by them. You go to Special Olympics, and these guys are some really good athletes. They've all got great attitudes. They love to be there. You hardly ever have to tell anybody twice. You hardly ever see an attitude problem. And when you do, it's human, and you just talk to them about it, and you get them going again. And oh yeah, it's fun. It's rewarding. It's a blast. And those are some of the most quality people that I worked with, both co-workers and clients. Right, great people. Okay. I didn't work with a single co-worker that was a retard. I didn't work with a single client that was a retard, right? But people who freaking hurt other people intentionally, people who are lack common sense, and they throw people under the bus, they're snitches, those are retards, right? People that don't have a brain in their head, retards, right? It's a difference. So if anybody's gonna try to throw me under the bus on that, fuck them, because my definition of retard, I just told you, okay? People that, like that gal that was on the investigation in Harlem, and the detectives on that, fucking retards, right? So, that's my point, okay? Now, getting away from that whole topic, because that's not what this video is about. You gotta go through some pain in life to get pleasure, right? It's just like those diamonds in the rough, right? To get to those diamonds, they're hidden. You gotta work your ass off to get to them, right? If you find those diamonds in the rough, you gotta get them, and then you gotta wash them off, chisel them down, all that stuff, right? And carve them out, just like you do in the gym. Same thing. Sometimes you gotta train ugly to forge something beautiful, right? It's like that in anything in life. You go through the pain of a relationship, right? You've got pleasure, but you've also got pain, right? You can have some discussions that you might not be so pleasant. You can work through maybe some trials and tribulations and adversity, right? But then you work so hard sometimes in the relationship, right? Especially if you end up having kids and stuff, that you work so hard, and you do your job on top of it a lot of times, right? And maybe sometimes so do they. And it's so hard to even catch your breath sometimes, right? But it's worth it, right? Because all that hard work to where you're having just a hard time catching your breath, now you hit those moments that take your breath away, right? You get married, takes your breath away, right? You have your first child, takes your breath away. Some of those moments where your kid does something spectacular, right? It's those moments that you get the chills, the goosebumps, takes your breath away, right? So those times I said, you're working so hard, it's trying to catch your breath and stress and everything, right? Working 2-3 jobs maybe, whatever it is. That's gonna pass, and you're gonna be left with that, with those moments that take your breath away, that they're rewarding, that you planted all those seeds now, and now you're reaping the harvest, right? It's just the way it is in life, and you can go on and try to take the easy route, right? And keep quitting every time the going gets tough. If the going gets tough, you get going. No. The going gets tough, you get going forward. You march forward, right? And you hit adversity head on, right? You don't run away from it. You want to be one of these guys or gals that runs towards the sirens, right? Not away from them, okay? You want to go be like the eagle who flies into the storm, not away from the storm, right? Because then you're that much stronger. Does that make sense? That's what people can screw up on. They want to be PC. They want to run away from the sirens. They want to get away from the storm. They don't want to dig for the diamonds in the rough because it's too hard, right? They don't want to go to try to open up these presents, because all these presents in life, they're wrapped in pain, right? And you got to get through the pain to get to the pleasure, okay? So when you go through that hard work, you have to have the mentality that this is well worth it, because in bodybuilding, it's easy to give examples, right? Because I can't give examples financially, right? Because I've failed in that multiple times. I've never been successful at finances, so I can't give you financial advice. I've studied it, right? But it's kind of like, when I get financial partners, or even business partners, right? I'll either team up with somebody who stabs me in the back, right? Or I'll try to do something with the wife, and it's like every time I get this momentum, it's like running in the end zone with the football, boom, clothesline, right? That's kind of how it happens. Or kind of like my football injury. Knocked the first guy in his ass, you got momentum going, you hit the second guy, patella tendon goes out. 1 step forward, 10 steps back, right? So that's how my life is financially. So I don't give advice financially, even though I've got a lot of studying, and I think with the right circumstances, I can get that done, right? But unfortunately, I haven't ever been in the position to capitalize on that. So I don't give advice financially, right? But I can give advice towards sports, right? Being a coach, being a prep coach, being an athlete, being a champion in bodybuilding a few times, right? So you got to get through those intense, difficult times, right? Where you get that mentality where you know there's going to be pain, but you don't care, right? Because you know that trophy's yours. So you don't care if you're going to do reps until you pass out, right? If you're going to ride your bike to and from for cardio, if you fall off your bike on the way back home because your legs are jello, if you had to get a workout, right? If you're driving and your whole leg is just, like this on the accelerator because it's spasming, your whole leg, your whole foot, the whole 9 yards, you've had a good workout, right? That's how it is. In order to be successful, in order to get the most beautiful presents in the world, you got to be willing to unwrap the presents that are wrapped in pain. You got to go through the pain to get to the pleasure. And you have to have that pleasure in the front of your lobe there, in your frontal lobe, right? And if it's not, that pain is going to try to talk you out of things, right? And but if you're focused on that pleasure, it overrides that pain, right? That's what's going to be more predominant at the time. It's which of those two things is more of a powerful force. Which one is playing with your mind more, right? If the pain is talking to you and you forget about the pleasure, you might give in to the pain, right? But if you're like, I am, right, when I'm in the zone, okay? Like if I gotta go 2 days without water, I don't fucking care, right? To win the show. I can drink water after the show, right? If I gotta go a week, 2 weeks, a month without carbs, I can eat carbs after the show, right? I can eat candy after the show. I can eat freaking whatever the fuck I want, right? If I gotta go 16 weeks without alcohol, I can bust out a bottle of champagne after the win, right? After the victory. So you gotta think that way. Because if you don't, you have been. You're like, oh, this sucks. I gotta eat like this, and I can't have this, and I can't have that, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. If I'm fucking focused on the negative, the pain, well, fucking good luck at winning any fucking thing, right? And that's the way it is with any area of life, right? And I know with certain areas of my life where I've got the right mindset and where I don't, okay? And when that becomes a balance for people, they become successful across the board, right? Because everything's in the green, nothing's in the red. Now, how many people are like that? Maybe about 1 to 5% of the population, right? And that's okay. Because there's other people that are right there, right? Or there's a lot of people that are really, really, really good at one thing in their niche. That keeps them going. And that's usually okay too, as long as there's not something that's so out of pocket. That's a dominant force, it's a negative, where you got, say you're financially pretty good at stuff. You can sell. You can run a business. Yeah, you can have multiple properties, but you got such a bad gambling addiction that you end up fucking off more through betting and gambling and things like that than you have invested, right? And you go to all your investments to chase, yeah, you're gonna fucking go out of business most likely, right? Is that fair enough? Now, if you got a gambling hobby and you have it under control and you have a budget and you make way more than you spend, you should be fine, right? And that's the way it is with anything in life. And I'm even talking there about a balance. I mean, if you're, At 100% of the balance, you go a little over budget sometimes, but not much because you're a multimillionaire. Your budget's $100. You double that. You do $200 a day in gambling, but you're a millionaire. You can probably afford it. Okay, just a hunch. So whatever, you just got to make sure that whatever you're spending, whether it be in investments or gambling or gifts or fun or even business expensive, whatever it is, your output is less than your intake, and then you're always going to be fine, especially if you can keep that expenditure of everything included only about 30 to 50% maximum of your income. Your outgo is only 30 to 50% of that consistently. You'll be way the fuck ahead of the ball game, right? You know, shit, there's people that live on 10% of their income and save and invest 90. That's pretty phenomenal, and give away too. So out of that 90%, they're investing, saving, and giving away 90%, which would be, if you want to do it evenly, 30% donations or charity or just helping people, 30% investment, 30% savings, live on 10%. Now granted, I'm not advising you to do that if you're making $50,000 a year or $10,000 a year or $30,000 a year, right? Even if you're doing $100,000 a year, right? That means you're only spending $10,000 on bills. You better fucking be eating just a little bit of food, and you better be not having a family, and you better have some dirt cheap expenses, right? If you're gonna live on 10 grand a year, living at home with mom, and dad or something like that, right? If you're gonna be able to live on 10,000 and save and invest and give away 90. Now granted, of savings and investings of those things of that nature, you should still be alright, because what happens if your investments go boom, but they're not risky investments, you just lose it, and you have to keep buying into it, you're going to probably be fine, and then if they do blow up and you make money off of them, you're in good shape, right? And then your 30% savings, remember, that's not gone, that's savings. So if you get into a jam and you got bills to pay, you can take it out of savings, right? I mean, so it's not the end of the world there either. So that's not always a bad system. I like the 70-30, try to get all your bills and fun and entertainment and everything else with 70%, and then your 10% savings, 10% investments, 10% giveaway, right? And donations, charity, whatever. And then once you get wealthy from there, then you can do like a 25 split, right? 25, 25, 25, 25. So 25% spending, been playing around, bills, 25% savings, 25% investment, 25% donations, and you can do any split you want, that works for you, that makes you successful. That's just what I would do, if I was in a situation where I could do a split like that, right? And some people are 100% outgo. They're so broke, and they make so little money that 100% of their income is 100% outgo, and they still haven't paid all their bills. That sucks, but that's life. And if you keep forging ahead and trying to change that, you should eventually be able to do that, especially if you get a partner who will help you with that stuff, right? Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes your partner is lazy, or sometimes your partner is sick, or sometimes your partner is incarcerated, whatever it is, and it's life. So you just do the best you can, right? And then you just don't make excuses, and you just put your head to the grindstone, your foot to the accelerator, and you do it yourself. You just tell your partner, though, don't get in my way. I don't mind pulling you, get in the back of the sled where they're, but don't get in the fucking way, Don't go stand in front of the sled and block me, right? I mean, then you're not going to go anywhere, right? And you're going to have to try to go around and under, and they're going to try to match you, right? You go under, they're going to try to go under. You go this way, they try to go that way, keep blocking you. Well, that's not a very good partner, is it? So you got to rethink things, okay? So that's about it. Make sure you just keep that head on the swivel, right? And Just keep fighting through that adversity, and remember that your greatest, most beautiful presents are wrapped in pain. So you got to push through that pain barrier. Same thing with the diamonds in the rough. To get to the diamonds, you got to go through a little bit of grime and grit and dirt and some. You go through some dirty times, to forge something beautiful. Just like in the gym, you got to train dirty to forge something beautiful, right? Whether you're a bikini athlete or a figure fitness athlete or a bodybuilder or a physique guy or a classic bodybuilder, you gotta do it a little dirty, right? To get something beautiful up there on the stage. And even bodybuilding, the bodybuilders aren't beautiful. That's your call, that's your opinion. But if you get the physique that's nice and symmetrical and aesthetic and nice pretty lines, I don't care if that person weighs 320 pounds. It's tapered down to a small waist, and it's shredded. A little 320. I don't see a lot of small waists, right? A lot of times I've got that GH cut and stuff, but that's a fascinating look too. I call that a freak look, okay? And if it's veiny and grainy, I have an appreciation for that as well. So it is what it is, right? And all your workouts, I hope they're good ones. And take care and God bless. It's been Showtime. Showtime Shred Fitness over here. Size, growth, get big. Aqua Fresca, Vino Puro, Stretchadora. That's beautiful women. Fresh water, red wine. Stretchadora, I guess it's supposed to mean tight pussy too, but that's not very classy, so let's call it beautiful women. Red wine, fresh water, beautiful women. Fair enough? Alright, it's been Showtime. Showtime Shred Fitness over here. Take care and God bless. Alright.